That simply means that regardless whether we're presenting in front of one person or we're presenting in front of 5 or 1,000, we gotta take what it is that we're doing seriously. So there's an Earl Nightingale quote that goes just like this: "There's no such thing as a small audience, just a small speaker."
I feel like a lot of people think that they're pulling off this magic act of the audience won't be able to tell that I'm not taking this seriously. Audiences that I've spoken to, or even if I was having a one-on-one conversation, they realize, okay, this person is kind of babbling.
Matt Weaver, the #1 mortgage originator in the United States for most loans closed in 2023 and #1 in the state of Florida from 2020 to present, has spent over 27 years mastering the purchase market, earning more than 16 #1 titles across his career. Max Fisch, 2024's #1 originator in the United States under 30 and #2 in the state of Florida, achieved those titles within just 5 years of entering the mortgage industry, compressing decades of growth into a few extraordinary years. Collectively, they've helped more than 40,000 families purchase their first home. Now partners and looking to improve the industry on a national scale, Matt and Max share their winning formula, team structure, and systems with originators who want to scale from elite to extraordinary levels.
Matt, I'm super excited for the topic that we have today. Every presentation is a performance. And that's a concept that I really wasn't aware of before our partnership. And coming onto this team and the squad, it's so apparent right away that you are very intentional about not only what you wear, but how you speak to your various customers, how you present to not only a large audience, but a small audience. And I remember asking you about that, and you got right into how meaningful your presentation is. So I'm super excited to just hear more about that, so you can share and you can kind of kick it back and forth.
Well, I love it. I love it. So you've heard me say before, the stronger the presentation skills, the easier the sale. Yeah, stronger the presentation skills, the easier the sale. So I recognized that early on. So when I got into real estate, I was a real estate agent at age 18. I dropped out of high school at age 16. So my father had me work at his restaurant for many years, and then I was making lunch every day, for a real estate agent. I didn't know he was at the time, and he convinced me into getting into the real estate industry. So I got into the real estate industry. Now watch, I'm a 18-year-old kid, coming from an area that's not the best in South Florida, and I go and hang my license in East Boca Raton, which is a little bit more of a wealthier area. Okay, so I said to myself, now who is going to buy or sell a home with an 18-year-old dropout that lives in the third bedroom of their parents' home? So it dawned on me that I have to work on my presentation skills. Okay, so the prospect doesn't ask how old you are and where you live. I figured that if I was dominant with my presentation skills, my choice of words, my vocabulary, then they're never going to know that I dropped out of high school. Okay, so it was ever since then, at age 18, I'm 47 today, that I understand the importance of presentation. So I've been saying for several years to our team and to our great F13 members that every presentation is a performance. And what do I mean by that? Okay, the first thing is that most originators, if they're going to go and let's just say speak at a real estate team, at an office, I don't care if it's a large group or a small group, they're probably figuring out what they're going to say in the parking lot. Okay, and they're probably walking in and just winging it. All right, my philosophy is 100% different. Be prepared. Know what you're saying. Be scripted. Okay, because that's taking it seriously. And the question that an originator has to ask themselves today is, do they take their presentation, regardless of the size of the room they're going to be speaking to, do they take it seriously? Because that's step number one. And if we take it seriously, then we're going to prepare ourselves better versus just getting up there and just saying whatever. The audience deserves the best from you, from me, and from them, whoever is the presenter. So there's an Earl Nightingale quote that goes just like this: "There's no such thing as a small audience, just a small speaker." So what does that mean? That simply means that regardless whether we're presenting in front of one person or we're presenting in front of 5 or 1,000, we got to take what it is that we're doing seriously. Okay. And the way that we do that is we prepare ourselves. We prepare what it is that we're going to say. All right. So for us, our 4 pillars of value, okay, wrap an agent sales cycle from beginning to end. These 4 pillars of value is what gets extended to our F13 members, and they're doing the same thing in their individual market. But if we don't know what our value propositions are, if we don't know how to, let's say, extend them to the customer eloquently, okay, then we're going to have a very weak presentation.
Well, it's interesting because whether it's an audience of 1 or an audience of 1,000, they can tell.
Yes.
Wait. It's so interesting because sometimes I feel like a lot of people think that they're pulling off this magic act of the audience won't be able to tell that I'm not taking this seriously.
Correct.
And they can. And I saw it firsthand in my business because one of my biggest weaknesses in my business was that I was so, I'll call it overly confident that I could just figure it out. That I can
Along the way.
Yeah, that I could just figure it out. That I was the parking lot guy.
Okay.
And it's interesting because I didn't know what I didn't know, and sometimes my audience didn't know what I didn't know. So there may have been times where audiences that I've spoken to, or even if I was having a one-on-one conversation, they realized, okay, this person is kind of babbling because they're not prepared. Maybe they've realized that. Maybe they did it. But in certain circumstances, it's interesting that I've exposed myself to certain circumstances in the last 6 months of our partnership to where the importance that I now put on presentation and my presentation skills has really made the difference, and people have noticed. And I'll give, I know I'm going to share this story. I know that you already know, but for everybody listening, I went to a real estate office that I've been working with for years, and I've spoken to probably upwards of, I don't know, 75 to 100 times. And if you asked any of those individuals, hey, how did Max do today? Let's say 2 years ago. They would say, he did fine. He spoke just fine. They didn't realize it, okay? But I wasn't giving them my best. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But what happened is when I really started putting an emphasis on my presentation skills with your guidance and insight, I went back to that same real estate office about 30 days ago, and I spoke to that great group. And after I spoke, I was scripted. I was prepared. I prepared for hours. I knew what I was going to say. I said it with intention. And after I spoke, the broker of that office came up to me and said, there's something way different about you. And whatever it is, I like it. And so it's interesting because, again, they didn't know what they didn't know, but there was something that was missing in my presentation. And what it was just a lack of preparation, which I saw it in my own life. So
That's
I'm going to share that.
And I think you were doing our latest seminar series, Winning with Objections.
Yes.
Which you've done such a great job. As you know, you sat in our room, and the room that I've been doing probably, I think 7 or 8 of those already.
Yes.
And you learned after 1 or 2 times, you prepared yourself. I remember you were relentless on preparing, okay, before going out to these various offices to do the same presentation. So you got fully prepared. You went to that office and you executed at a high level, and the audience appreciated it even more.
Hours and hours and hours of preparation. And to your point, I could have just listened to it once and just been like, you know what, I'll just go do it. And I might have been able to pull some things here and there and from memory, and they would have, that's a good thing that he said, or along the lines of that. But one thing that I feel like is missed here is it's not just the relay of information, but it's the level of professionalism that comes across when you're prepared in your presentation that your customer appreciates.
Yes.
Forget what you're saying. They appreciate the fact that you were professional enough.
Well, 100%. And here's the other challenge, and why most originators don't prepare. And for the originator that is listening to this, okay, the one that can grasp it is going to be light years ahead of their competition. The reason why most don't prepare is because they don't know who their customer is. So what do we mean by that? You know, as well as I do, and what we teach at F13 is the agent is the customer. The agent is the customer. So we owe them strong presentation skills. We owe them preparation. They're not a buddy at a bar, okay, where you can just go ahead and wing it. All right. The customer always deserves the best. And that's just my philosophy.
I feel like you couldn't have said it better. I mean, I'm sitting here talking about the customer, assuming that everybody understands who their customer is.
That's right.
And I think that's just it's very clear to us. And I hope that it becomes clear to all the listeners that the real estate agent is your customer. And it's so true. Take the time to prepare. Understand the importance of your presentation. And I want to just throw this out there before we end today's show. The presentation that you're doing, it does not mean that you are in a room full of 50 people. Sitting and talking to your customer is a presentation.
Yes.
Prepare for that conversation. Prepare what you're going to say so that it comes across intentional, okay, and confident,
Yes.
because it can make all the difference in the world.
100%. What an originator can do today is they can walk away at least with this. All right. What are my value propositions? Okay. And can I state them eloquently, whether it be in front of one real estate agent or in front of a group of 500?
Huge. Love it. Thank you, Matt.
With pleasure.